You have the minutes, regular meeting of June 25th, 2012. Entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
Second.
Move second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Executive session of June 25th, 2012. Entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any question on the motion? Hearing none. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution to amend the 2012 Economic Development Division budget. Curveball. Quarter to four this afternoon. We got a call from our auditor indicating that the state would not approve our amendment because the county has not given us certain portions of the funds anticipated or a certification. Now, we did get some of the funds in check today. The ones that have not been received is the $20,000 a year for 3 years for the bond administration cost. And one other one.
3 years of fund administration costs, that's it.
Okay, one another small one?
No, it's those.
Okay, so they're not in hand. So the state requires that either they be in hand or we get a certification from the treasurer that they are budgeted for and will be provided. So what I would recommend is we adopt this subject to getting that in hand from the county. Because later on the agenda we have a resolution to approve the payment to the county of $1,100,000, but we can't pay that over until we get approval of our budget. So that resolution is on the agenda and is subject to the approval of our budget. So there we are. Could you?
Yeah, and just as a point of clarification, at the last meeting we discussed the $233,223, which was the 5% of our operating budget that's going to be transferred from the solid waste division over to the freeholders per the agreement, and the acknowledgement that we received from the freeholder board that would not be transferred back to the freeholder board for economic development. So at the last meeting, we were charged with going back and recasting the division's budgets for the improvement authority, and that's what has led to this amendment. However, we need certain other things to occur now. Prior to that, at 12:30 today, I did receive 2 checks from the CFO at the county. One was in the amount of $22,200, which was the outstanding 2010 payment for the energy symposium that was held, and the other was the payments from March through a portion of July for the state health benefits, retiree medical benefits for the nursing home employees.
Have they being the freehold board, they've signed the MOU?
No, they didn't, and that has not been returned.
Well, that would have sufficed, I would assume, right?
Well, the MOU relates specifically to the
Oh, right,
nursing
yeah,
home.
I'm sorry.
This is a payment, right? Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Right, dealing with
Yeah, it didn't deal with
retirement.
didn't deal with
Doesn't do
the.
with
So even though obviously they budgeted for it and we understand they have to pay it, the MOU is just outlining the fact that they'll pay once a month or twice, so they just send checks whenever they want to send checks. Is that how it's going right now, or will it be on a, when you spoke with, I guess, Doug or Dave or Doug, right?
Okay.
Are they going to pay us monthly, or is it going to be quarterly?
There was no indication of that. The expectation of what frequency we would be.
And as far as the 60,000 that what were you saying in regards to that?
That he had been asked to go back by the freeholder board and recalculate the actual bond administration fees for the life of those bonds to determine whether the $20,000 flat payment over the course of the life of those loans was indeed a fair calculation as recommended by the auditors years ago before the refunding series was issued. And that's all he indicated at this point in time. He said he's not been authorized to make payments.
Because I guess there was no formal agreement. Because the last time they refinanced that, correctly, it was like 99, 2000, wasn't it, somewhere in there, 99? And I guess the current freehold board at that time never struck up some type of agreement with the
which does specifically outline the payments that are due to be made to the improvement authority by the county for the administration of those bonds.
Hang on for just a second, we turn that fan on, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. If it gets warm, we'll turn it back on, but right now, my hearing aid's not turned up.
Wait, he's distracted.
Okay.
So, we're waiting to hear back from them on clarification on the 20,000 a year. I guess that's where we are. Okay.
But see, that holds up our budget,
Mhm.
holds up the amendment, which holds up the budget.
Mhm.
So we had a hope to get this approved, in the next few weeks or so, who knows. One is, and call a special meeting to approve our budget, or approve our budget in August.
I mean, we have freeholder here to mind if we, freeholder manager says, do you have anything you can add to that as far as the payment of 20,000 a year?
I received the calculation worksheets that the CFO did on Friday, and did not have a chance over the weekend to look at them myself.
So if it's short, we get more, is that the idea?
The bond fee was a percentage, and there's a sophisticated calculation that has to be done. So we want to make sure it's accurate.
Yeah, but I mean, supposing we didn't get enough, would we get additional?
If it gets backdated, I doubt that.
I'm being facetious. I know it's short, I don't want it. I know not much. Okay, so where are we at?
We're amending the,
So we have that option open to us, so adopt it, subject to, I mean, if they run a certification over to us tomorrow morning, we can show up to Trenton tomorrow morning, or that would speed up the whole program. If they don't,
So you need a motion to adopt it pending.
yeah,
because we're anticipating the revenue, and the state is saying we can't anticipate that revenue unless we have some kind of certification stating we're gonna receive it.
and it doesn't take the action of the freeholder board, it just takes the action of the CFO, assuming that's in the budget, that is.
I'll make the motion, let's move it along.
Okay.
I agree. I will second, adopting
Let me
the budget.
let me get the number,
72.
Economic Development Division budget subject to the certification.
Number one?
I'm
Number two?
sorry, the end of one, you said two.
Yeah, I did the one. Okay. What's this number? 72. Okay. Okay, so the motion is made, motion is second. You made the motion, made the second, moved and second. This is a roll call vote.
Right.
Michael Burke,
Yes.
Steve Snyder,
Yes.
Ron Howard,
Yeah.
John Engel.
Yes. All right, so Debbie, you're going to get a hold of the freeholders or whoever, administrator, CFO, to get that resolved. The quicker we get it resolved, the quicker we get it, what's that? Get the road kids. Okay. So we can move on to the solid waste division, right?
Good evening.
Hello.
How's everybody?
Good.
You have my written statistical report in front of you. The written report, I just want to point out, customer aging has not changed from the last month. The same customers are still there. Outstanding. You haven't heard anything, have you, Adam, on those two?
Yeah, we've received judgments on them and we're currently executing.
Awesome. Okay, I didn't know that, that's great. And under miscellaneous, which is on the second page, I just wanted you to know that I had a very busy day on June 27th. 3 inspectors came all on the same day, so that was a very busy day for me. I really enjoyed that. I hope that happens again.
Enjoy it.
We had groundwater, we had air quality, and we had landfill inspector all on the same day, so it was bang, bang, bang. That doesn't ever happen, yeah. But everything passed with flying colors, no problems whatsoever. Anyone have any questions about the written report before I go on to the new charts? Okay, on the new charts, everybody should be able to see these charts like standing way back here, right? The old charts were that size, And now the new charts are twice as big, so you can see them much better. Yes, you'll see on the very first one, the landfill total tonnage has gone down. We're about half of what we were the same period last year. Yeah, disappointing as it is. However, fast forward to cover, and cover material, you'll notice that we're much better off now than we were last year with cover material. Any questions about the charts? Any questions at all about anything?
You say we're better than last year on cover material, that's because of.
Slightly contaminated? Yeah,
Yes, we
the amount of slightly contaminated that we've taken in this year
I'll
compared to
just
last
make
year.
a comment, although our revenue is down.
Yes.
It's no surprise, we anticipated
Yeah.
going down. Our costs are down because we've gotten more, rather than paying for cover, we're getting more cover in actually paying us. And by act of God, there's not as much rain, so our leach aid is down.
Rainwater,
We'll talk about that a little later. Might help on that.
and the cost savings is number 7 on the second page of the written report, just so you know, I update that every month. So year-to-date right now is, we've actually have a revenue of $119,611.58 for slightly contaminated cover material. So that helps us with cost avoidance about $54,000. And then Camden has an additional amount coming into revenue of $41,527.42. So this will always be updated every month, so you'll have those current figures. Okay? Thank you very
Okay,
much.
any questions? Okay, without objection, I'll receive the report and file. There are no objections, ordered. Okay. Approval of engineer's report. Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe the board members have our report dated July 13th. I'll be happy to answer any questions on it. I just want to highlight a couple of things. One, with the landfill expansion, the leak location test was being performed today. I don't have the results of it yet, but didn't get any phone calls saying, oh my gosh, so we'll take that as good news. And also you have a resolution on the agenda this evening for the award of the geosynthetic cover material on a portion of the landfill. Both the 2 bids were received. The low bidder was Atlantic Lining Company. The bid came in at $246,831, $246,831. The estimate and part of the closure plan was for $300,000, so the numbers came in good. And I would recommend that you go ahead and award that.
Okay. Any questions of the engineer? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report accepted and filed. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Okay, next item, resolution authorizing transfer of line item adjustment in solid waste division. That's resolution 73.
This will be the last time I think we have to do this for adopting our budget finally.
Wow.
As long as you adopt your budget.
That's really, I think, kind of luck. Okay,
I'll make the motion.
Where's that amount at?
$39,964.75. Tab number 2.
Right after the meeting.
okay, do I have a motion?
Yes.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, move to second. Question or comment on the motion. We should know, and I bring this up every so often, under state statute, we're not required to do this. But under our internal rules, we must transfer between line items. State doesn't require it. Matter of fact, there's our auditor sitting right there. Correct me if I'm wrong. The state doesn't require us to transfer between line items, but we do it as a matter of our internal.
Yeah, authorities are not required by statute to, they just can't expend their entire budget.
Right.
But the rest of your government entities do have to do resolutions.
But we're more peculiar to authorities, and at least not all of those, I know Southwood would anymore, but I just want to make that comment. Okay, moved and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're, Approval of the solid waste division bills. Okay, we have resolution number 74. I don't know, it's not one of these days. Okay, the total invoices are $927,572.45 by check, $44,219.69 by the wire transfer. Entertain a motion to pay those bills.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, any question on the motion? Hearing none, moving second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Economic Development Division, under tab 3. Okay, yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, you will all receive my written activity report, which is a part of your package. The board had requested in the last meeting to come up with a mission and record of accomplishment, which I will read. The Salem County Board of Chosen Freeholders established the Salem County Improvement Authority on January 7, 1976, under the County Improvement Authorities Law 37A-44 as an independent and self-sustaining public entity. The purpose of the authority, as listed in the resolution creating the Salem County Improvement Authority, is to provide for the orderly development of lands and facilities, to spur redevelopment of deteriorated areas, to encourage commercial and industrial development, and create jobs for residents of the state, and particularly residents of Salem County. County of Salem's ability to assist developers with projects is limited by state statute. The county can only finance projects for county-owned facilities and equipment. Excuse me. The Salem County Improvement Authority has been granted powers by the state to provide conduit bond financing for a wide variety of projects, including convention and conference facilities, public facilities, airports and marine terminals, redevelopment projects, affordable housing, sports, recreation, and entertainment facilities, and projects undertaken by nonprofit entities. The SCIA plans a key role in improving the quality of life for residents of Salem County. The authority has financed over $40 million in major projects such as the County Correctional Facility, Friends Home, Salem Community College Gas-to-Glass Facility, and the Finlaw State Office Building that have created new jobs and/or tax flow to the county and local governments, while also significantly reducing the expenses associated with financing these projects. SCIA also operates and is currently expanding a state-of-the-art solid waste processing and resource recovery facility, arranged for the sale of the former county nursing home to a private experienced operator, financed several key projects with tax-exempt bonds, markets Salem County and various financing programs and incentives to prospective businesses and industry, helps arrange financing and incentives for existing and new companies, and oversees the development of a major business park within the county. The Salem County Improvement Authority has been involved in economic development projects that have created and retained over 1,088 jobs for Salem County residents. Projects that the authority worked directly on have generated over $1.165 million in annual taxes to Salem County and local governments. Salem County Improvement Authority has worked directly with New Jersey Economic Development Authority and a major Salem County existing manufacturing firm to secure a business retention and relocation assistance grant in excess of $1 million for business retention and additional new employee hires. Most recently, SCIA has worked with the Cooperative Business Assistance Corporation to secure several small business administration microloans for Salem County businesses. Additionally, there have been 5 contracts issued for job training of new employees that are funded through the Salem County One-Stop Center and Cumberland Salem Workforce Investment Board. Furthermore, the Improvement Authority was instrumental in the creation of the New Jersey Energy Sales Tax Exemption Program, which has saved Salem County manufacturing firms hundreds of thousands of dollars. The authority is currently working with several major business prospects that have expressed interest in either expanding their operations or locating new facilities within Salem County. This is very promising during these challenging economic times. Our active door-to-door personal outreach program has been well received, and as a result of this activity, we have received referrals from local township officials, regional economic development associations, and private developers inquiring about the programs available through the improvement authority.
Thank you. Any questions? I have a question. I don't notice in there you mentioned the prospect of financing, equipment for municipalities. Is that mentioned there?
That's not mentioned in there, no, but we do have to get.
Right, the
equipment
one thing I
purchase and
know,
lease.
we're negotiating with, Woods Towns at the very moment to
For a fire truck.
finance fire truck, and also the ambulances, but that's kind of
Yeah.
still,
That's
So-
still,
you know,
that's actually will be the next admin coming next.
right. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, without objection, I'll receive that and order file. Hearing no objection, receive the
Thank you.
file. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay. Number 75,
Okay.
Okay, this is a resolution of the Salem County Improvement Authority authorizing payment of bills to the Economic Development Division in the amount of, in checks, $6,318.70, and wire electronic transfer of $215.92. Entertain a motion to approve this.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any question on the motion? Moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, economic development. Next is the nursing home. Okay, resolution authorizing transfer of funds between divisions. Okay, that's, okay. Well, wait a minute. Can we do that?
You can transfer.
Uh,
You can transfer.
This we can transfer. This isn't subject to, this is not subject to the, right, okay. Okay, this resolution, Debbie, you wanna give us a rundown on this resolution?
Yeah, we have two agreements with, Salem County Board of Chosen Freeholders, one of which, requires the, proceeds of the sale of the nursing home to be transferred back to the Salem County Board of Chosen Freeholders in the amount of $850,000. The second phase of that same agreement indicates that there is a payment of $250,000 to the county of Salem for, other essential expenses associated with the nursing home operations that would and were contemplated to occur this year, namely peer grouping, namely, the results of the 2006 Medicare audit, which was completed last year, but was at a period of time that the nursing home was in the ownership and operation of the county. In order to make those transfers from the Salem County Improvement Authority to the County of Salem, the funds need to be transferred back out of the solid waste division. Those funds made the solid waste division whole for the loans that were given to the nursing home division that currently operated. And in order for the check to be written from the nursing home division of the advice of our auditor, we need to transfer those funds back out of the solid waste division and back into the nursing home division to make those payments.
I make the
That's
motion.
perfectly clear?
Mm-hmm.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any question on the motion? Question, I know the answer, rhetorical question. So this money will not come from the sale of the nursing home. This money will come from proceeds of surplus in the solid waste division, is that correct?
That's correct. The funds of this, the sale proceeds of the home were transferred back to the solid waste division for the tune of $5,700,000 to indeed make the solid waste division whole. And that $5.7 million is what's over in the solid waste division, $1.1 million of which is now being transferred back to the nursing home division. So we have a deficiency of $1 million.
So, before we adopt this resolution, the solid waste division was whole to the penny, vis-a-vis our investment in the nursing home, including all revenue and all. Okay. So now, the nursing home division will now, I'm gonna use the term, owe the solid waste division $750,000.
850 and 250, 1.1 billion.
Yes, well, there's some of those items were not related to nursing home, right?
Moreover, they're related to the nursing home operations while we had it.
Right. Okay, so it takes 1,100,000 to get the landfill division back to whole again. So there's I'm gonna use the term, amount due for the nursing home division to the, landfill division, if it were to be made whole. Okay, I just wanna get that straight. Okay, it's moved and seconded, correct?
Mhm.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, next item. D, resolution authorizing transfer of line item adjustments to nursing home budget in 2012. This is number 76, right? 77? Okay, this is a small item, $9,000, and, tell us about that, why you
Yeah, this is a transfer out of the nursing division from management fees into legal fees and professional fees. It may be semantics, but we did have some funds in there for ongoing management associated with the nursing home that are not going to be expended. However, due to some ongoing discussions with Golden that the board will be informed, we will need some additional funds in the legal fee line item and professional fees for the Lancaster group.
Okay, this is number 70.
I'll make the motion.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and second, any question on the motion? Moved and second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Resolution approval nursing home division bills. In the amount of, that's what I got. It's 78. Okay,
Hold on one second, I'm sorry. I guess we're gonna do it two separate, the 1.1 million separate from the, okay.
oh yeah, right. Okay, this is, resolution 1278, saying, bills by check 6,641.06, and by wire 0. Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Move to second, any question on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, next resolution, okay, this is, now, this resolution is to approve a payment to the county, and you can't do it until our budget is approved by the state. So what this is, this is approving the transfer, subject to the county, subject to the state approving our budget. So as soon as that happens, then we can, without any further action, we can pay that money out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that written here like that?
This is a manual, if you look at the rear for
Final adoption of the budget.
manual bills totaling 1.1 million are approved for regular payment by check upon adoption of the 2012 budget by the local government services.
And reason being, because when we initially adopted our temporary budget, this was not in here, because at the time we weren't aware of the amount that we were going to pay to the county, correct?
Well, and yes, and due to the size of this, there's
You could probably have done it.
a discussion that, there was still a discussion with the Division of Local Government Services about
Or
what.
how we were going to do it.
Okay, so.
I'll make the motion.
Move.
Second.
Move to second, any question on the motion? Move to second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving along. Executive committee, okay, here's where we want to get, okay, should we get into that, or are we gonna wait till we get down to the resolutions? Executive committee meeting for the, open public meetings.
We should do that with the resolutions.
Okay. Okay, executive committee meeting, we discussed this open public meetings. I remember last week we said that we would review it and get a firm policy, so that will come when the resolutions come. So that was the main topic of that executive committee meeting. still holding off on Alway Host community benefits. We've been trying to get them, but haven't been able to do it. And we asked the Board of Freeholders since February to have a meeting with them, and we have not been able to have that. So maybe we have a new freeholder here, maybe he could give us some ideas. Then that meeting will come up. And the reason we wanted that meeting, well, of course, in February, was remember these fund transfers, and further to over our strategic plan, so that the freeholders could be aware of it and have comment. And we haven't been able to get that meeting. It was scheduled for one time, wasn't it? Twice it was scheduled, both times it was canceled. You got any idea when we might?
I know it's, we'll be discussing it at the admin meeting on Wednesday afternoon. So, but I don't know, it's tough to get 7 freeholders together in one time.
A year gone by before we know our strategic plan would be over, and
We could always been invited to one of your, workshop meetings. Since all of you guys are together, I'm sure we can.
or regularly, not
I mean, but they meet prior, and 2 hours is an hour before the meeting, 2 hours?
Depends.
Yeah. Which, we could always attend one of those if we had to.
All right, so we'll wait to hear from the freeholder board. Would it be appropriate to send another letter, or copy of the original letters? Okay. That's Personnel Committee.
Maybe that's one of the processes trying to schedule the meeting.
Okay. Economic Development Committee.
We held a meeting last week, Wednesday, I think it was, Tuesday, Wednesday. Jim, Debbie, and I gave us an update on where we are. One of the big headlines, obviously, was not so good, the Bright Horizon. I'm sure everybody read in the paper, they were denied. I guess they possibly could be appealing, but I can't see that being approved at this point. One of the things why we were working so closely with them is hoping on the back end, once they finally go to purchase the building, because they're currently leasing it, for us to do the financing on it. That was our big role in helping them put that together. So, I know they met, and I'm sure Phil might touch on it a little too, with Pennsville and the sports complex of the center. They're in the process of being together. I know Jim did also state, I think there was one person last month that moved forward with the micro loan, was it?
Yes.
Yes, and there's one pending at this time. I know he did say that, so, I know for a fact he's been out on the street handing out our literature and moving forward, so, we'll see what comes of it.
I might mention, you had mentioned to me that we offered our services to Anchor when they had the fire, or whatever they had over there, fire.
We did reach out, Debbie and Jim, that night prior, the next morning, reached out to them. They were very thankful for us. Hopefully we can continue discussions with them about potentially, maybe opening up another line or, furnace.
Well, yeah, we might help play a part in that, because I think there are funds available for that kind of disaster thing. So. Any questions?
No, we're meeting next month, so I'll get back to you on the time and date.
Okay, without objection, I'll accept the economic development report file. Hearing no objection, so okay. Solid Waste Division, Pete Borges is not here. Debbie, I assume you'll take care of that.
Yes, we've been meeting bi-weekly to go over the landfill expansion project and discuss other items. Our very last meeting was held on June 28th and July 12th. In addition to the engineer's report, which you already have, we have completed and submitted the closure post-closure plan update, and that's been filed with the DEP. The groundwater protection plan update, which is required by the permit, is in the works. Quality control, quality assurance plan is complete and has been filed with the DEP, and weekly reports are being submitted to them. The request for expression of interest for the solid waste division for recycling and material handling is publicly noticed and is out for the public's consumption at this point in time. And we have the flow control document in extremely rough draft, and we'll be working on that on Thursday of this week, along with our revenue enhancement projects, which are showing some promising signs, but nothing significant being launched.
Okay. Any questions concerning the solid waste report? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order that received and filed. Hearing none, so ordered. Okay, Innovation and Technology Committee, Lou?
Well, we met last week. Apparently the PC scale upgrade is complete, for this upgrade. Fine there. The IT support agreement, it's my understanding that we're going to be seeking an outside agency to do our IT, some kind of agreement. The county situation is such that we recently received I guess it would be a bill or a proposal for a yearly fee to do our IT. I think we have, what, 3 people IT altogether?
I think it's two.
Two? Two is right.
Three.
It's
Three?
Yeah,
Three.
they had 4, but Dominic's gone, so they have
Okay.
3 now.
I think Debbie's going to reach out to see if we can find perhaps compare prices. We're going to compare prices. The last thing here is merchant services, and that is, she's put together a package for taking credit cards. I guess I voice my objection now to that. Credit cards is something that's, people that have credit cards spend more money. It's a convenience item. It is a spur-of-the-moment purchase that allows them to use credit cards, and credit card people know that. Stamps at a post office is not something you buy more stamps because you can use a credit card, and I don't think you make more trash because you can use a credit card. The argument would be made that you can now get your money earlier. Well, that's great, but we're investing the money at 1%. It's going to cost us about 3% to make the charges, so I don't see how that makes economic sense. But that'll come up. So there we are on merchant services, and I happen to do business with merchant services. I understand it, but mine's impulse buying, and trash is not an impulse item. So that's it for
The PC scales now, that's humming now, right? Everything's,
Yeah, it's humming all right. No, it's been
it's
fun.
humming, let's put it this way, it's humming in tune.
It's doing much better. We had some little quirky things that we worked out, but yeah, the upgrade is complete.
Okay, any questions, IT report?
Nope.
Hearing none, without objection, I'll receive it with order filed. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Okay. Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On tab 6, you have my executive director's report. I'll dispense reading the whole update. However, just a couple of things to note. On July 1st, we did file the report that was required by the DEP. It was a special report entitled Maximizing the Life of New Jersey Landfills. That was ordered by the DEP earlier this year, and all but one landfill in New Jersey, as we understand it, has filed that report. Our friends in Atlantic County have decided that they would rather have discussion with New Jersey DEP about the reason behind that report and file a report. Gateway Boulevard, pleased to report that the pavement marking is complete. We are doing the paving project 100%. We are just waiting on the engineer to sign off and the payment to the contractor for that work. Lastly, we have had follow-up budget meetings with all divisions to discuss revenue changes and do any major adjustments as necessary. We have made some of those adjustments in the budget and made proposals to the executive committee. And our activity on open requests is down dramatically this last month. We have only spent 12.5 hours fulfilling open requests. 6 of them were received over the course of the month of July, and they comprise 94 pages and 2 file conversions from 4 different sources. We do have a policy, as the chairman pointed out, for your consideration of this meeting. Any questions?
Nope. Questions? Hearing none, I'll, without objection, order the report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Okay. Consultants report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Probably the first item I have, in terms of
sources of revenue. We are working with a number of communities that are interested in disposing of our facility. That involves talking to them about changing some of the specifications. Sometimes they say that it only goes to a certain designated landfill, so we've got one community to change that, basically allowing the haulers to go to any landfill that's cost competitive. So that has been effectuated and hopefully that will be helpful to us. In terms of economic development activities, we're continuing to work with a number of companies that express interest in the county, including a large Midwest company, a national company looking at being on the Delaware River in terms of locating a major facility there. We are working with a landowner in the western part of the county, which is split over Carney's Point, Oldham's Township. They've just completed a lot of work on the property. They have about 180 acres that they're looking at developing for commercial industrial development and potential warehousing. That they could accommodate between 300 and 500,000 square feet of new construction as the market develops there. One of the biggest issues there is the wetlands. Significant areas of wetlands that has restricted a lot of the property there. We're continuing to work with the DuPont to have our discussions with them about the redevelopment of the Chambers Forest Complex, which is a very large-scale project, a lot of moving parts, and we have had one company has expressed potential interest there. It'll be the first prototypical company that may be able to go into the complex. And certainly, they have a lot of assets there in terms of power and utilities and transportation, rail access, and they actually are on the Delaware River, so we're continuing to work with them. On the bond financing, in terms of Pennsville Youth, we're really just waiting for them. The ball is in their court. We've met with them before and given some suggestions, so nothing more that we can do until they come back to us and say they have their plans finished in terms of the scope of the project. I think they've been making some revisions. They were putting to the committee meetings and trying to come up with a budget for the project. And as indicated earlier, the Bright Horizons Charter Schools dropped out due to the state redo charter. That's my report. Any questions?
Any questions from board? Hearing none, without objection, I'll file, receive the report and file. Hearing no objection, so voted. Okay, next item, resolution authorizing charge-offs. That's on the table, on the table.
We are gonna continue to table that action pending outcome of.
We don't need to take any action on that, it's lying on the table from the previous meetings. Okay, new business. To adopt the 2011 audit, which you have before you. Can you give some highlights on our?
Yes, we completed a successful audit, as I reported at our last meeting. We had a closing conference with our auditor. Pleased to report that the number of audit findings is significantly reduced from what it has been in the past. And we have two findings and recommendations. One involving even more timely updates with the general ledger, and the second is a recast of a calculation for our solid waste landfill tax that is due to be paid. The second item has already been corrected, and it was brought to our attention, was corrected on April 5th of this year. And then the next agenda that you have is a corrective action plan for the remaining item.
The one item was the tax that was basically due to this calculation on the scales, right?
Computer errors in the PC scale program.
That's what I mean, yeah. There was no money loss, it was just a matter of, we got overpaid, I guess.
So, overall, Mr. Austin, where are we compared to this year and last year?
I have to say, the first time 3 divisions were all together was the 08-09 fiscal year, and that was a tough year. I mean, it was a tough year as an auditor, but we had like close to 10 recommendations. We're down to 2 recommendations, so there is progress.
Now, as I understand it, in order to get this general ledger up, we need to get professional help. You know, we've had people who were not
Hearing them?
well, they're not here anymore, that's one thing, and they might not have been as knowledgeable in the areas they should have been. We've recast the qualification for the job, is that correct?
Yes, and there's a, part of the corrective action plan is actually a training and educational component for that piece in the job.
So, the one item is we corrected the scale, so that should take care of the tax and the general ledger and something like that. Okay, so, what's before us now is to accept the audit, right?
Do who has the original and all sign? Full sign job.
Oh, is it here? Okay.
I'll make the motion to accept the 2011 audit.
Move, is there a second?
Second.
Move a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You'll be voting actually by signature, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the group.
I mean, this is important for the minutes.
That was 80, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, next item, corrective action plan, let's get to that. Oh, wait a minute, we gotta get, Pete Burroughs to sign this, right? Can we,
Well, can he, if he didn't vote on it at the meeting?
no, you gotta sign it no matter what.
Signs that he's representing.
That he reviewed
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. But that's not saying you accept, that's saying you reviewed it, yeah. Okay, so that's that. Corrective action plan. Now, is this a resolution? No.
Mm.
Okay, here's, okay, yes it is. I see what we're doing. What was number 7, and what 81? Okay, resolution number 81. Resolution approving submission of corrective action plan. Okay, so the corrective action plan is what?
Corrective action plan for, audit finding number 1, relative to the general ledger, that should be reconciled on a monthly basis before the SCI board meetings, and any adjustments made at that time, and that the interfund reconciliations are also completed monthly before the SCI board meetings, along with the SCI finance staff, which includes the treasurer, accounts payable, and receivable, to attend training in all areas related to accounting for financial transactions.
And the second one,
And the second one, I'm sorry,
just the computer.
the second one is that the correction needed to be made in the PC scale.
Okay. First I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on the motion? Everybody reviewed it, understand these are, I mean, they're not, one of them is minor in that the computer's corrected. The other one is major in that we gotta get that right, and we gotta get the right people, knowledgeable people in there to get it done. So that's gonna be a task we're gonna have to confront in the next few weeks. But in the meantime, we'll have to do a joint action. We'll do that. Okay. Move to second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, here's the one, merchant service agreement. That's the one concerning the credit cards. Debbie, do you wanna give us one down?
Yes, as Melinda and I were meeting with the customers in the solid waste division, meeting with all of them individually, one of the things that we asked them to elaborate on was in what ways we could assist them in their businesses to become more efficient and better as a service provider. There were a litany of suggestions, and many of those we took into heart. Some of the larger contractors have requested that we begin to accept credit card payments. It is something that most of the solid waste divisions in the state currently do. Right now, we accept cash and or check only. This has been visited by this board several times in the past, and most recently, we met with 3 banking institutions who can provide these services. One which did not provide a bid back to us because the transaction count that we have was lower than we would like to see. The second, which was a $4,000 proposal, and this last one, which comes from Fulton Financial, which is a very cost-effective proposal with a startup cost of $320 for the, $390 for the first year, $32 a month thereafter. So it's a $384 a year investment, which is all of the equipment. It does not contemplate the additional fees that will certainly be paid for this. The the benefit to this, in addition to just being customer responsive, is that indeed, as Mr. Schneider pointed out, we will have our money much sooner, usually in 5 business days as opposed to 60. It also will help us with any of our collections issues. As you noticed, we still have 3 customers that are on the delinquent bill list that we continue to work with for much longer than I care to. And so when we get that customer who at 60 days is delinquent in their bill, we now have another alternative for them to give us a credit card payment and take care of it immediately as opposed to taking care of this in a checkbook. We plan to install this equipment, and I would like to test this out for a 6 to 9 month period of time. And I cannot tell you exactly what customers are interested in signing up, but certainly the convenience center customers will probably be the biggest users, and our largest customers will probably be some of the other users. The middle range customers will probably not be interested in this solution. We also, just to keep the board fully abreast of things, have had inquiries as we talk to prospective new customers about whether or not we can take electronic funds transfers as payments. We're not ready or able to go down the path of electronic funds transfer with a wireless payment just yet, but certainly this brings us back up to the 21st century.
Question, so the cost is $300, $400, $500, and how about the transaction fees?
They're associated with the transaction, and it would be our plan to calculate those at the end of the year and either do one of 2 things: roll them back into the tipping fee, which would probably be a penny on the entire tipping fee for all divisions, or evaluate the customers that are indeed using that service and back that into their account.
Can you do that? I know the Supreme Court just had a decision, or not, it wasn't a Supreme Court decision, it was they settled a decision where you can charge a different rate for someone who uses a credit card. If you go in for like the diner and you go, how much is the turkey sandwich? And they say, well, if you use a credit card, it's $8. If you pay cash, it's $7.50. That's permissible now, I think. Okay.
Well, years ago, you could not.
I understand
think that has changed.
I read the paper. I don't know if we quite read the paper, but I got that. Now, governments can charge I don't call it convenience fee. It's a service charge. Like you get your license, they charge $2. I just paid a ticket in California, $470, $10 service fee. That's how I know about this stuff. But at any rate, here's the way I look at it. For the commercial accounts, the advantage to us is to catch the guy who's not paying us and say, look, put in your credit card. I didn't know that those are not involved now. But that was helpful.
Can we legally, when they sign the contracts, are you asking them for a credit card or a copy of the credit card, and if they go past 60 days delinquent, can we automatically charge that
You're
card?
gonna get into PCI compliance as soon as you start holding on to credit card information.
Okay, I didn't know. I'm just
PCI
asking.
compliant.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense. So what I'm saying is, that's one advantage I see for us. So if it costs us $3,000 or $4,000 a year for this service, and it catches us one delinquent account, it's paid for itself. Secondly, more importantly, is the homeowners, and like myself, I got 4 or 5 tires in my business. I told my guys, get them out of the dump. I don't know, how much does it cost? I don't know, call down there. And one of the girls goes, well, let's give them the credit card. So no, I don't take credit cards down there. So I think small businesses would use it, and households would use it, and we might get more revenue from it. That's where I would say, if we're going to get more revenue, to me, that's where it's at.
I would object to the first part about the delinquent. The person who's delinquent probably doesn't have any space on his credit card to give you, okay? So that way I'd object to that. Number 2, again, this is not an item where you say, okay, I think I'll take more trash down there because now I can pay on the credit card. If you know you've got to get rid of the tires, you're going to bring the money to pay for it. If we get, this thing's going to cost you probably in excess of 3% of whatever the proceeds are. I know there's a transaction fee, I know this, and you add it all up together, you're going to be paying more than 3%. If you're talking about the money you're going to invest because you got it early, you're not going to get 3% on your money. So you're being a nice guy and you're going to make it, but the reality is, it's going to cost you money to do this.
Is it cost 3%? Is that what
When you get done, I would imagine your average ticket has something to do with this, the number of transactions. if they don't know you from Adam on your first thing, I would think that you're gonna be close to 3% by the time you get done. I have a statement here, merchant services. And Bob, you probably know about this stuff as well as anybody, but my rate, one of the rates,
Oh, you use it for your business?
yeah,
Okay.
because mine is an impulse buying.
Mhm.
All right? We're talking, okay, this rate is 3.68, that's a commercial non-qualified, but a qualified one, the bulk of what you're seeing, says 1.62 on both the, but there's all kinds of different rates for different credit cards. So when you get done, I can't imagine that you're not gonna be giving away at least 3% of your money on this deal. Now, are more people gonna use it? Sure, now I have my credit card, if I get X amount of points, well, rather than send you a check, I think I'm gonna go ahead and give you a charge card now. So now you're gonna increase the number of people that are gonna use that were already paying you, right? Now all you're doing is losing money. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Do you think it's, 2-3%?
Bob, speak up here.
Well, it's based on a per ticket
Yeah,
average.
an average
so
ticket,
yeah,
It's
an
a
average
moving
ticket.
scale, so.
You've got two sets of,
That's most banks.
two sets of entries. One is gonna be the homeowner goes in for $50.
And that's the worst kind of ticket you want, because you want a high average ticket. So if you're gonna have the bulk of yours being the homeowner, you're gonna drive your rate up.
But here's, the different guy is gonna go two ways. One, as he brings each load in, which is $400, $500, $600, $800 load, we'll do it. Or at the end of the month, he'll say, how much I owe you? 15 grand? Here, I'll put on my credit card. There are the two types of
Look what you
charges.
just lost.
Pardon?
Look what you just lost.
No, I hear you, I'm listening to you.
John, what about a convenience fee?
Pardon?
The convenience fee or service fee to offset that? You charge
Well,
2 or 3% convenience
I
fee?
think that's where,
Is that legal? Can we, I mean,
I think it is.
well, yeah, the public bodies.
Register your vehicle,
Yes,
you'll
it
see a
will.
convenience fee.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. As I understand it, and again, that's what I pick up, is public body can have a convenience fee, which for, and it's small. So, like I said, these guys want these big $15,000 kicks.
Any other landfills doing this?
Pardon?
Any other landfills doing this?
That's what I understand. that.
Certainly, if we could impose a fee of 2 or 3%, then I wouldn't feel so bad. We're gonna be real close to even. But I can just see people trying to rack up points on their credit card and say, hey,
I don't know about that, because I do it.
and they're gonna do it all day long. And
I know.
all we're gonna do is reduce
I
the
do
amount.
it.
You know,
I do it.
you're trying to get this and this, and what's gonna happen is all these people here that were paying you before are now gonna use the credit card. And the 3 or 4 delinquents that you have, they're not gonna have any space on their card. Their card is exhausted. If they had
Well-
money, they'd pay you.
I was involved in business a number of years ago where it did that. You catch a guy, somebody did, guy give it to you, bam, bounce back, but sometimes you get it, sometimes you get it.
I don't know, I'm in the middle, I'm torn on, I understand what you're saying, Lou, as far as, I mean, us potentially 3, 4 grand, or 5 grand, whatever it is a year. I mean, I understand the other side of being convenient for the residents. The convenience factor is nice, I've been there many times, I forgot to pull up, forgot to bring checkbook or cash, or I thought can't use a debit, can't use anything, so, you know, you turn away, I'm sure it happens now where they forget. I don't know, if, I do have to agree if there is a way we can potentially charge a service fee. I like the idea of having it as a convenience factor for just the general
I
public.
have an
You should
idea.
pay for convenience. Convenience is not free,
Right,
you pay
I
for
agree.
Well,
convenience.
it might be a good idea to table it, and let's go back and sharpen up, see what that service fee is, and, now the trouble is, if mom and pop comes in, which we want to get people, instead of throwing it in the backyard, to bring it to us. Well, like me with the entire thing, like a major, let's take them down there and get them off here, yeah, but homeowner, you know, might do some, throw something in the backyard, they take it down, so. I don't know about that. But I'd be willing to vote with the idea of the table it and then tune up a little bit and see, we'll get a little more information.
To see if we can charge convenience fee, and even if it's possible, how do you even go about keeping track of it? I mean, I guess somebody use a credit
It
card?
does it right when you do it.
I mean, would it, if I have a $15,000 bill and I gotta pay the credit card, whatever it is, 10, 12, 8%, and then I'm gonna pay the improvement authority additional 3% just to use it up front.
No, it goes right on your card, right at that time.
I know, that's what I mean. Am I willing to pay an additional $400 or $500 just to use it at that point?
Well, it's either you pay the $400 or $500, or we pay the $400.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, are people gonna use it? I
Well,
mean,
at 3%, and we put $1 million on there, that's 30 grand.
Thank you.
well, that's 30 grand out of our pocket.
Yeah, I'm a little slow on the draw, but I can do that much.
But I mean, that's what I mean. If we have a waste management, for example, if they use it, I don't know, say
I don't
we get,
think they're gonna use it.
I don't know, say we have 200,000, are they willing to spend, you know, six grand just to use it? I mean, when they have cash.
Well, as you all know, and Melinda can attest this, a number of years ago, we were required to prepay her. That was when it was controlled. And I remember going by the landfills and seeing 35 trucks lined up, waiting for their payments to go through so they could get through the gate. Is that correct, Linda?
No,
Huh?
35 trucks.
Well, not here. I'm talking about up the incinerator, I'll tell you the truth.
Other landfills,
Yeah,
that is
right.
correct,
Yeah, right.
but not ours.
I agree. I think we should just, I make the motion to table resolution 11-82. Until we get further clarification and or, if there's a way we get to charge some type of service fee. And I'll be honest, if it's not 100%, at least we can approve 80%. I mean, you know, it gotta be, but, you know, like you just used the example, you know, we get $1 million charge worth, I mean, that's $30,000. And around here, that's a lot of money.
Okay, move, you got a second?
Second.
Move second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, we're on the table, hopefully next week, or next month, we'll get a better understanding of the matter. Okay, here's a good one here, I hope, awarding contract for temporary geosynthetic cover. We call that a raincoat. Debbie, you wanna give us a?
Sure, as you heard from our engineer, we did open steel bids on July 12th. We did have 2 respondents, Atlantic Lining for $246,831, and Shenango Contracting for $288,450. This is a project we've been looking at, given the 2009 and 2011 horrendous rainfalls that we've had. This will put a rain cover on the back of cell number 7, which is our most exposed and active phase of the landfill. It has the least amount of natural clay cover on it right now, and will be expected to help us reduce with leachate costs. The recovery one of the 2 or 3 landfills in the entire state that do not have a rain cover on it, and I think this one is
Okay, and maybe along with this, we could get when we talk to these folks, we get our engineer willing to get a schedule. We think it could be done in the earliest 2 months, is that correct?
Yes.
Latest 3 months. So the idea is to get it done before the monsoon, right?
I'll make a motion.
Move, do I hear a second?
Second.
Move a second, any question on the motion? Hearing none, move a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Alright.
Okay, and we have a certification that the funds are available, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, resolution concerning shared service agreement with Gloucester County. Tired?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, last month we reported that Gloucester County had contacted us about the purchase of charter chips from our surplus firepower, and they would like to make sure this is an ongoing opportunity for them, should their supplier shortage them like they have. And we've provided a per ton cost of $15 per ton to sell the tires to Gloucester County, which they're very happy to execute a shared service agreement with us.
Okay, the net result of this is that's all found money, is that
Yes,
correct?
that is.
Tires that, well, we use them for our lighting, because we have plenty of this, right?
We'll see when they finish getting put down, that tire pile's gonna be substantially smaller.
Well, I understand, but we're not gonna sell them to Gloucester
Surplus.
County and then,
Only what we have is.
buy them back next week. Yeah, I'll entertain a motion,
So moved. Second.
move second, any question on the motion? Hearing no question, moving second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. Okay, resolution canceling, a resolution to support development, construction, operation of new and energy waste processing facility. Yeah, I guess it's,
I'll make the, motion, that was from last month, correct?
right, they fell down and that's the end of
We're outside of the mileage,
Yeah.
so I'll make the motion.
Motion, have a second?
Second.
Move second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, that's done. Okay, resolution adopting policy and procedure for Oprah requests. That's under the register, okay. Purchase of the tips. Policies regarding open public records, okay, behind the resolution just adopted. Okay, Debbie, could you give us well, before we get started, how this came about? We had some discussion over the last month or two concerning Oprah requests, the time it was taking us to respond, the fact that we've been using our summer interns who were, the idea of hiring them was to help get our old records organized better, records from the utilities authority and old contracts and budgets and so forth. We were working along on that, but then we had to divert those folks' efforts to handle these Oprah requests. There was some discussion, and I think at the last meeting it was indicated that the executive committee should come up with some ideas. And I guess, Mike, the idea that we came up with, we want to be ahead of the game on this. We want to try to be transparent, get everything out, and hence camera there, and we'll get that in a few minutes, so that we can possibly get all this stuff out, so there's hardly any need for requests, because everything will be handed out. So, and then we tried to mess with the Oprah thing, and our attorney said, don't mess with the Oprah thing, because it's guided by law. So we said, okay, let's adopt the standard Oprah regulation, which can't change, and then adopt another policy which goes above and beyond, where we would get a lot of this stuff out into the public. People need to use the regulations. So that we keep that in mind.
Okay, your policy and procedures are pretty clear. The purpose of this is to basically affirm the Sound County Improvement Authority's intentions to comply with and exceed the requirements of the Open Public Records Act. It does talk specifically about the roles of the board, which is to appoint a records custodian that will provide staff support, equipment, and other resources as needed. The Improvement Authority will then require the records custodian to collect fees from the requesters as permitted under Oprah, but they are limited to the copy costs, median conversion costs, and any special service fee associated with that specific request. It outlines procedures for the development of the Oprah form, which we already have, and the distribution thereof. And also talks about how much time the Improvement Authority will dedicate to a Open Public Records request, basically free of charge, after which a special service fee will go into place. And then also discusses the instructions that are to be provided to all employees of the Improvement Authority, whether they are the records custodian or not, in regards to the timeliness and need to respond to those requests in a defined period of time. Therefore, staff will be given priority attention to the documents requested. And then the solicitor is also going to be available to the records custodian should there be a need for redactions or counsel on that. And that we shall also follow and abide by all the other statutes, regulations, and directives of the case law. And I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have some information from the attorney relative to the charges and case law on inspection of documents. Any questions?
Who's going to get appointed a record controller?
You've already taken care of that, the records custodian for the organization.
So they Oprah requests would get what they normally get, but now you're telling them that they'll be available to get the videotape?
Well, that's not part of this. I mean,
That's just standard Oprah
Okay.
request, rules and regulations, I guess you say.
And the next step is over and above Oprah.
So So I guess I don't know, even though it's a law, I guess I don't know if we ever formally adopted a policy, so we're adopting, so I make the motion 11-86 to adopt the policy and procedures for Oprah requests.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made second. Any question on the motion? Hearing none, move to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, here's the next item. Now we get to the camera part of it. Yeah, please.
As a follow-on to that discussion on Oprah request, we talked about providing additional information through our website. For those of you who are not familiar, there is a new statutory requirement that will take place and become effective in 2013 for public entities that will be required to have a website or to post information on a website. We've done an internal review of our existing website to determine where we have compliance with that future statute and where we have some gaps, and have decided that it's in the organization's interest to have a website posting procedure so that people are very clear about what goes on the website, when things go on the website, and what the channel is to get things posted to the website. This policy, again, applies to employees. It speaks to the designation of a website host, a website manager, and a web manager, all of which you have right now, okay, so there's no change there. And with the executive director and the webmaster collaborating to ensure that the website is maintained, updated, and accessible. All requirements to post the information shall be subject to the approval of the executive director, so we don't have just anybody posting anything on the website. Documents from the monthly meetings are going to be posted according to the following schedule under normal circumstances. And I say normal circumstances, it certainly depends on the website being up, that there be no IT problems or anything like that. The meeting agendas will have a draft copy posted by noon of the day of the regular meeting, with a final copy posted 5 business days following the meeting. The board minutes, a final copy posted no later than 60 days following final approval and adoption, and a final copy of the minutes for any special meeting posted again no later than 60 days following final approval and adoption. The SCI meeting schedule is posted with the notice setting the date, time, and location with the agenda no later than 15 business days following our annual meeting or the meeting in which those board dates are approved, and a copy of the public notice, which is done within 48 hours of those meetings. Copy of the final audit will be posted no later than 60 days following approval and adoption by the SCIA board. The budget, the reduced budget, will be posted no later than 15 days following the SCIA board approval. Amended budgets, again, are posted no later than 15 business days following the SCIA's approval. And final budget being posted no later than 60 days following the SCIA's final approval and adoption. And that shall replace the introduced and amended versions of the budget, so we have the final budget schedule. The SCIA admission will be posted no later than 60 days following any and all revisions by the SCIA. That is already up there. You have contract information for persons who exercise day-to-day supervision or management over some or all of the operations. That is something that's not posted on our website, but will be posted no later than 30 days following any and all revisions and updates by the SCIA board. Fiscal reports, we talked about the audit. Rules and regulations, any rules and regulations that the SCIA board determines to be in the best interest of the residents will be posted no later than 30 days following revisions or adoptions of those. And then attorneys, advisors, consultants, and any other person, firm, business, partnership, or corporation which receive any remuneration of $17,000 and $17,500 or more during the preceding fiscal year will also be posted on the website. And we will also post those no later than 30 days. Lastly, the SCIA shall, in its sole discretion, cause to be posted any other information deemed pertinent and necessary to further the organization's missions and goals. And the solicitor will be available to the executive director and webmaster on an immediate basis for any questions.
The only final one, I guess, is regarding the
This
videotape.
videotape is part of the minutes.
Well, there's several things. We're going to have the packet that we get, a copy on the desk so people can review that. Is that correct?
It is there now.
Right, but I mean, I don't see that written in our policy now.
That is not something that's posted on the website.
Okay, yeah, but do you have it later on, as part of our policy?
No, this is website posted.
Okay. All right, well, let's get the website posting and then we can look at that. Is that fair? Okay.
Any
Pretty-
cost of this?
Pardon?
Any cost for this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How much we talking about?
I can't begin to tell you.
one thing, the first thing is, to me, it's too long to put it on for 60 days, okay? But I don't think we can do it any better, because we have to do it in between other work. You don't have somebody, full-time person there that can.
Well, and it's a state requirement also, and some of the towns
Some of
that
it-
don't even have websites, then now the state's gonna require them to have a website and post it, so it's
Yeah,
gonna cost.
some of this stuff will be required in the future,
Mhm.
so we'll be missing stuff ahead of it. I think our only alternative is to try and see what it takes. And, you know, ideally, you would put this stuff up in 10 days, yeah, but only by hanging around, you know what I mean? So, we have to do it,
Where it makes sense in terms of internal is some of the routine posting by using staff. Currently, right now, a webmaster is contracted to only provide updates once a month for cost efficiency. So those things that are not considered times of the essence will continue to be posted on a monthly basis. But we are looking to internalize some of the things on the regular agenda. But again, this organization was not created to do those sorts of things.
Say all send us $3,000 or $4,000 a month to run that, what would the money come from?
One from our budget.
It's not, we're putting a budget for this year, right?
You have a line item for web hosting, yes you do, web hosting and web support.
yeah, I mean, we can't afford, we can't cost that, but that's why we have to attempt to do this and see if we can work it into our, get each individual trained to get this stuff together. It's not gonna be done overnight, and I'll tell you, we adopt this, be prepared, something ain't gonna get done quite in time. And our executive director will tell us that, and say, I couldn't get this done on time because, and we'll either have to say, well, we relax the regulation, or find a way to do it. But, you know, we'll be certainly ahead of the curve on it. Some of these things are gonna be required in year two anyway. We might as well get in practice, and, yeah, that's what I look at it. We'll be the most transparent organization in South Jersey. And, then we can challenge others to be as transparent, yeah? That's my feeling on it. Anybody else, you know?
I agree. I say we move forward and see how we go. I mean, I know we discussed it last month, with some members of the public about, and I agree, and I know you said it, I mean, I feel the same way. Whatever I get here, everybody else should get, minus any return client information. I mean, I'm not, there's no secret. So why not post on the website, and then we'll probably, actually, hopefully posting on the website, we'll cut down on some of the local requests.
Oh, right.
So you spend more hours doing that and less hours with local requests, so I guess it all evens out when it's said and done. But, you know, and that's why the book is here, I mean, anybody to look through and whatever,
Okay, I'll motion. Move. For a second?
Second.
Move a second. Any question on the motion? Any question on the motion? Move a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, let the record show is unanimous vote. Okay, now, as far as the meeting is concerned, not written here, I think I thought we might have it. There'll be a packet placed there. Is it over there? That's that blue thing? Okay. So anybody come a little early? One of the problems is these packets are not done sometimes until 10, 15 minutes before the meeting, adding stuff, changing stuff, and so forth. Also, we're gonna lay out, I would recommend that we lay out 4 copies of the bill list. They're appropriately stamped proposed bill list, because we don't know that they're gonna be approved. We assume they are, but sometimes they're not. And we can lay them out. So that would be, 2 items that probably eliminate some open requests. Now the camera. The idea of that would be, we would start that thing up at the beginning of the meeting, let it go through the whole meeting, and then post it on the website. Now the question is how quickly we get it posted to the website. Debbie, what would you say?
I will let you know if we have our first stint with our new webmaster to do that.
we're thinking
We're
along
learning.
the lines
Yeah.
of YouTube, or not YouTube, streamline it right from, I know we talked about, potentially even, I know there's some towns, there is a channel, I think, in Salem County that's dedicated for Comcast, for the meetings. I know Gloucester County has actually some towns that you could actually put on channel 9 or 7 or 5, whatever it is, and actually watch I've watched East Greenwich and other townships, so we thought about, but then we don't, you know, we're not gonna spend a ton of money for, you know, we videotape it, we post it on there, and anybody can watch, so if you look at the minutes and there was some discussion on something, you can refer to the video and see what was, talked about, so I support it, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think it's a good idea.
Okay, the motion?
I'll make the motion that we start, taping our meetings, and once we hear back from Debbie about how long or shortly thereafter, we, post on the website.
Well, my concern on a videotape, now of course, when it's on the, they have to capture it off the, they have to capture it, but, you know, you could take a videotape, start doing some editing, and make some statements, put it out. It's very hard, it would not be easy for them to capture it off of the screen there, but it can be done. And Michael Burke could say, jump in the river, and then add something else to it, next thing you know, it doesn't. That's my concern with that. And they could be used politically also, I'm sure. Right? But it's not everybody that can do that. But
Well, I mean, we'll control the main one. Anybody wants a copy, they can open it and get a copy.
well, that makes you real nervous now.
Yeah.
You're gonna give somebody a copy of it.
Why?
Oh my God, if you give them a copy, it's so easy to edit something up and take something out, okay? And make the statement not be what it was.
That's the law. The law is,
Well, then I'm gonna, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm
yeah,
gonna go
I mean,
against
I've
it.
been involved in this, we've had videos in the past, it's the law. If you video it, anybody can get it.
It's a government record. That becomes a government record. It's such a
But the fact that you have the full tape, you have to go back to the truth.
Well, the truth is one thing, okay? Perception is another, all right? I mean, once you
Somebody
put something out there,
fabricates, they edit and get
yeah,
the-
once they put something out there, the damage is done. You can't put the back in the can, it's done.
Fault charge, they say, push it.
Well, you can do that too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But the damage is done.
Well, I mean, it's done all over the state. I mean, we won't be the first. We'll be the first probably in this region to do it. You certainly won't be the first in New Jersey to do it. That's a fact. Okay? Yeah, we know about editing. I've learned that. Was people can do some tricky stuff with it.
In my opinion, I feel as though we should move forward with it, and if someone is that desperate to grab a meeting and change it around, so be it. I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, you can get anything on the internet nowadays, so it really doesn't matter. I mean, they could swing it this way or say that, and you see all the time on the presidential ads. You say one thing in a speech, they take this word and that word and this word, and they put together and it says something. I mean, they do it. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean, is that a form of a motion?
I make the motion, we start,
They
authorize taping our meetings and post it shortly thereafter on the website.
Second. Second. Question on the motion? Hearing no question, moving second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed.
Opposed, one opposed. Okay. And obviously, let's be fair about it, there's gonna be a little hiccups here, and, you know, so we're, the first month or two, we're gonna be, a little learning process, and we'll try to figure out how we could stop that from being manipulated. That's a good question. But I know it could be done. I've had some experience with it myself. Okay, so that's that. Now we go into the correspondence. Okay, now the one, question we had, now, we got the letter from the freeholder director, and is that put to bed? We got this letter saying for us to cease and desist.
It was actually from the attorney.
Well, I don't think it was, who do we get it from? We got it from their attorney,
It was written by Ross.
but it said that the freeholder board directed us to cease and desist from doing economic development.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And when we received that, the executive committee gave it to Adam. We said, Adam, what does this mean? And Adam said, what? Adam, tell us what.
I said, what did I say? I said, I don't know really what it does, what it means, because I'm looking at the letter right now. Advice you to cease economic development activity. My reaction was, what is economic development activity. It's sort of an ambiguous term. It covers a large variety of different potential things. It could potentially cover every single thing the improvement authority does. So my suggestion was to request more information with regard to what the freeholder specifically meant with regard to redevelopment activity, and those specific activities or activity that the freeholders were requesting that we cease from performing. And that letter was sent out on July 10th to Mr. Levitsky on behalf of the freeholder board.
Have we heard back?
No response.
Okay, and my question to you was, I said, does that mean that the potential customer that we have wants to build a new building in Salem County, we should immediately tell them, stop, we don't help you no more? And I think you said, you don't know that it means that.
Yeah, again, it's the letter, the letter is so vague that I don't really know what it means.
Well, did we determine what the freeholder board voted on?
Well, I know what they voted on by reading the paper. Is that what you're?
Well, no, because it said the freeholder board said cease.
Correct. Oh, you're looking at this letter. What did they?
Yeah, so
It's just
I
a-
immediately called one of the freeholders up, and he said, he didn't want to talk about it. I said, when was this discussed in the freeholder? He said, I don't know what you're talking about, okay? And I think you called the freeholder, right?
I spoke with, actually, around 5:30 on July 3rd. We received this letter probably around 4:15 on July 3rd, email, but it's hand carried over, and I actually called Freeholder Cross. And he at that time told me that he had no idea about the letter. I spoke with Freeholder Bobbitt, Freeholder Timmerman, and they were also unaware of the letter. But more importantly, in my opinion, regardless of whether the letter was sent or not, I mean, that's something the county needs to worry about on their end. We have our own problems. I feel as though they should have had time to potentially schedule a meeting. And to be honest with you, and you know, maybe you can enlighten on this, and if there was something that you guys did not think we were doing correctly, or you guys have a different vision for the county, or something that you guys seem that we could do better, or you guys think you can do a better job, maybe there's ways we can assist you. Maybe there's ideas you have, and rather than sending a letter to say cease with economic development activities, I would have thought the grown-up thing to do, or since we're all supposed to be in this together and we're for the people, would be, let's give them a call, and at the courtesy, just give them a call and say, look, we don't want you to do it anymore. We have this great plan, and we're gonna do it, and just, you guys, if we need some bonding done, that's fine, then we can bond, and I'm okay with that. I don't have any hard feelings, because there's a new majority now, and if they have certain ideas that they wanna proceed with, I'm okay with that. But I just thought a letter to cease, and then nobody can find the contract now that says, so it's all kind of fishy, and I think a meeting, in my opinion, for all of us to sit down like grown-ups and discuss this, would have been the right thing to do. And that's just my opinion. You know, you might have a different opinion, I respect your opinion, and that's why I'm just curious on where the freeholder board currently is on this.
Well, it's not a matter of my opinion, and I can't speak for the entire freeholder board.
Okay.
You know, the words of the letter may be vague, but I believe that they were trying to accomplish something that Freeholder Cross made mention of in the public meeting last week.
And what was that?
Well, I can't remember his statement exactly, but
Okay, I'm
it
not gonna
was,
quote you on it.
you know,
I understand.
and
No,
it
I understand.
was something to do with, it wasn't a contract, it was an agreement.
Okay, I understand.
And, well, which we could not find, at least we could not find it. Now, you have a copy of it, I don't know. But the idea was we wanted to, he believed that the letter was to be written to officially notify SCIA that we were not gonna fund the economic development.
Okay.
And so, you know, and I'm paraphrasing his
Okay,
his
no, I
statement.
understand.
I don't know exactly what it was he said, and I am not gonna speak for the entire freeholder board. I have made some notes here.
Mhm.
I think that there's some correctness in what you're saying, that we need to sit down and have some dialogue.
And I agree, and I feel, and whether there's an agreement or not agreement, obviously under the statute, if someone were read our statute, we have the authority to do it regardless. I mean, we're not gonna do economic development, you guys do it. We don't have millions of dollars coming in this county to do that. We're not gonna play those kind of games. I don't care politics or not. That's why I figured we sit down at the table and we just talk about it. And you know what, you guys might have some amazing ideas that we don't know about, and I wish you guys would enlighten us on it, and same with Freeholder Cross. I mean, if he had no idea about this, but then he makes a comment at the freeholder meeting, it's just very confusing on what's going on, and that's why
I think what he had and I don't want to put words in his mouth,
No.
I think that what he had no idea about is the verbiage in the solicitor's letter.
Okay.
That's what I think he had no
Okay.
idea about.
All right. No, I understand. That's why I'm just, because when I called him, he was unaware of the letter at the time, and that's fine. I mean, I understand, and there's committees that you guys have, and you also authorize certain things, but, when it states that the board of chosen freeholders, and to be honest with you, I don't think any of us here have time to play letter back and forth games, because who wins out is, no offense, is the lawyers. I send a letter to your lawyer, you send a letter to my lawyer, it's $150, $300 every time, when we all, the 7 of you and 5 of us can sit down, it doesn't cost anybody any money. So that's where I would hope you would take back, and I'm sure you will, to the freeholder board and say, let's schedule a
I will
meeting.
take it back to the admin
Okay.
committee and recommend that at a workshop, we invite you in.
That's what
That's what I will.
And here's where where the real problem arises. And my understanding from what I've been told, and I wasn't there, so I'll throw it in at the meeting, the freeholder director said there was a misunderstanding, and as you said, was really that you weren't going to fund our efforts. So I'll accept that as the explanation. But here's the problem. That article that went in the local paper was in the New York Star Ledger, okay? So now, we're trying to get a new customer down here, build a 10,000 or 100,000 square foot building. What's going on down there? These people are kindergarten players down here? And let's stay away from that. And I know from people who are relocating, and I've been an economic development director for many years, okay? People in business don't like getting involved with people who are going to throw stuff in the paper. They say, stay away from that. Amateurs. And, get together in a room, get organized, that's fine, come out with a statement, so that we get the confidence of the commercial public, the industrial public, so that they feel comfortable about coming here, and also that the citizens of the county get a feeling of confidence. I had some people joking about it, well, if some of the citizens of the county are joking about it, some potential customers are joking about it. So that's where I think where the problem lies. And again, say, we got it in Salem County, it's controlled. What the Newer Star Ledger? That's not good. But anyway, there we go. Any other,
Just one thing, clarification. Indeed, that did occur on Thursday last week. Mr. Smith and I had a meeting with a very serious business potential client interested in moving to Delaware. And in the course of that conversation, he especially said, well, I'm interested in knowing how local politics is, because it does not look like the local politicians are on the same page and why would everyone come to Salem County as opposed to Ross Stern Company. So
Well, I think it's
I
pretty
just
obvious we're
put
not
that
on
out
the
there
same page, and
that-
that's pretty obvious.
that there are real life examples.
well, it's
finished.
not obvious to me, it's obvious right now, because you said it. I didn't know
Well-
that before today.
Well, you're talking to a guy that's relatively a novice here, and quite frankly, I'm not doing it for political reasons. I'm doing it because I believe the public needs to be served in the proper way. I have nothing for or against personally anyone in this room or anything that this organization does. I want to do the right thing for all the stakeholders in Salem County. And I think, if we can sit down and agree, that's what we want to do. But that's what we have to agree on, that it's all the stakeholders that should benefit and not just a few. When I was elected to represent 15 municipalities and 65,000 people. I'm going to represent them all, not a select few.
You know, disagreeing from me, that's why I'm here.
That's why we thought a meeting would have taken place by now. I mean, we have, with the addition of Pete and the addition of Lou, I mean.
Well, we have some budget challenges,
I understand.
and we're also
We have
planning a
our-
strategic planning meeting
Mhm.
to try to determine what direction the county should take.
Mhm.
Well, how could you have a strategic planning meeting without having input from us? That'd be interesting.
I think we have to make some decisions as to what we want to do, whether we are going to take the role of economic development or whether we're going to have someone else do it. But I think currently, that's a matter of discussion. Again, I don't want to speak for the Freeholder Board because no decisions have been made. But these are things that we've been working through and planning, and the strategic planning session is scheduled for August the 1st.
So you say we, meaning the Freeholder Board?
The Freeholder Board has agreed to have a strategic planning meeting on August 1st.
But they have agreed to,
We've only agreed to have a strategic planning meeting, and at that point, we will determine the direction that the county is going to take.
but how could you make that decision without our input? I don't understand that. It's very difficult for me. I mean, here we are, we've been years in this, and we have a report.
Well, I could very simply say, we don't necessarily need you, but I'm not speaking for the Freeholder Board here.
So when you say we, you.
That's why I really don't want to get into this conversation. We are having a strategic planning meeting to discuss the direction of the county.
Without our input.
Based on, well, we don't need, we're looking for everyone's input.
So you
All
don't,
stakeholders of Salem County, and you're welcome to come, it's a public meeting, you're welcome to come and give your input. As a matter of fact, there's a form on the county website asking for input. So, feel
that's
free.
great. I didn't realize that, that was the first I heard that. So we can come and give our approval.
Well, we have a facilitator for the strategic planning session. We are looking for input on written forms. I'm not saying that you'll have opportunity to share in the discussion because we have a facilitator who's going to direct that, but you certainly can make your suggestions on the forms that we have available.
Okay, so we're an organization that's spent hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, 5, 10 years involved in this effort. And you don't make a decision without our input. That's very interesting. Okay, I have a problem with that, but I'm not going to build on it. Anybody else have any questions, anything out of this?
I have nothing.
Okay, what else we got here? Anything else on this? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we have a list of correspondence here.
I'll make a motion, we receive and file correspondence.
Second.
Move second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, what's next on our agenda? I'll tell you what I might be on.
Chairman, we do have one brief executive session.
Okay. All right, okay, we didn't finish this, but this is the problem we have last meeting. Do we want to, does this, executive session require any action on our part? Okay, so we could have the public comment, we could adjourn our regular meeting, go into closed session, and, well.
Well, yeah, we should open the public.
Well, yeah, that's the public. Finish that, with the closed session, please turn it up so the public can leave, no, full well, we're not.
No, we're not taking any action after executive session, correct?
Okay, is that okay, everybody in agreement with that?
I make a motion, we open the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Okay, move second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, if each person would stand up, give their name, ask one question or put one input in, give up the floor, go to the next person, and we'll go round and round and round until we each, everybody gets, all the, time they need. Okay, anybody over this side? Seeing none, over this side. Oops, I missed something. Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
I think she was first in line, before we go ahead.
Ann Sullivan, Action Pack, Allen Township. Number 1, is the ventilation system kaput?
Yes.
Okay, and
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Who's answering
It
that?
was too, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Air
there were some
conditioner broke.
operational problems today that have been temporarily repaired, and they'll be back tomorrow to hopefully complete the repair.
And is SCIA still the landlord for this building? Are you in charge of fixing it?
We've never been
I mean, what was that, what, and that's it, as my part of that question kind of convolutes. What actually is the role that SCIA pays? Were you accepting checks? What was the deal with SCIA?
River Salem is the landlord for the building. We're assisting them in managing the building through a support agreement that requires us to perform back office operations.
Back office, so you're not in charge of ventilation?
Wish I were.
Okay. I have other questions, but I'll wait my turn. Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yes, I'll move second. Tim Mangold from Bennington. The first question I have is regarding ways to increase revenue or make things easier on the improvement for the end county general. And I know that last time I bought something in Salem County, which I do often, we generally get charged about half the sales tax rate as the rest of the state. And I believe that's in part because we are very close to a neighboring state which doesn't charge tax at all. Has there been any thought, since a lot of the costs that the Improvement Authority deals with are either state taxes or fees or costs incurred because of state rules, on ways to similar reduction or pass or something similar to that in the fees or costs that the Improvement Authority deals with in order to help deal with the competition from outside of the state. Things like cheap tipping fees or just other things that affect businesses that could help.
Well, I don't know that the state's gonna reduce our fee. I think the landfill in state New Jersey has the same argument that Atlantic County does. Matter of fact, they're suing everybody with their brother, concerning cost. Landfills in North Jersey are close to Pennsylvania. So you're saying try to get the count of the state to reduce our fees, state charges?
A lot of the costs that the
Oh,
Improvement
right.
Authority, runs into might be kind of framed as a protective regulation or some other sort of accounting cost, but the effect is raising revenue that in the end goes to the state or some other
Everything we
board.
pay is regulatory fees of the state. I mean, could you just a little better?
When we had a discussion with the DEP about a month and a half ago, and I know all landfills were asked to attend the same meeting, much to our surprise, one of the questions they said, so what can you do for us? And, we were very quick to point out the hundreds of thousands of dollars of fees that continue to go up every year, with us getting less and less services for that. And, whether it be just a permit cost, an inspection fee, those costs are there. We did ask for them to take a look at that. We also asked for them to be very protective and thoughtful in regards to taxes that are derived from solid waste, such as the recycling fee and the communities fees, and to ensure that those funds are protected and safeguarded and indeed come back to the communities that they were designed to, and not grabbed by government and put into other pots, similar to, like the tire fee was a good example. We continue to pay a tire fee every time we get our tires changed, but it's been years before any public entity has ever seen that money returned to the public entity. We also, in addition to looking at that, are very thoughtful about what taxes we do continue to pay to our municipalities. Because as a public entity, we do have the right to be a completely tax-free entity. But in property where there is no direct tie for the Salem County Improvement Authority, like the landfill, we do continue to pump those fees and tax revenues back into the local communities. We're open to any suggestions as well. We do respond to the market conditions relative to our own tipping fees. So as fuel rates go up and insurance rates go up and down, we try to ensure that we are being thoughtful in setting our fee schedules, but then also responding to the market and what they need.
Yep, there we go. Anyone over the side? Yeah, yes, sir.
I noticed that in your,
You identify yourself, please, for the record.
my name is John Evans, I'm a reporter for the Salem County Watchdog. A cub reporter.
Cub reporter, right.
Thank you, thank you. That in the list of things that you intended to do, or two things that weren't on there, as far as I can see, were the checks, which I believe are the most frequently.
Their copies are on the table.
The bills.
I'm sorry, did I add that? I thought I mentioned that.
Checks. You know what a
Oh,
check,
the
Check.
check register.
check register.
Yeah, we're putting 4 of them out. They're over there on the table.
It wasn't mentioned
I'm sorry, I meant to
as
mention.
part of your policy. I have, you're referring to this document,
I guess.
this list.
There's a list of the bills.
Correct.
There's a list of
Well,
bills.
it's a check register, it's actually got the check numbers, the dates, they're all done on the same day,
Exactly,
and the payees and the amount.
exactly.
Right.
We're putting 4 copies out on the table. We'll make sure.
The question I was trying to pose, is it going to be part of the continuing Oprah
Yes.
operation? That wasn't mentioned, and
I'm
that's why
sorry,
I asked you.
I thought he did.
I thought after the fact you
I
mentioned
did I
that we
mention
will
it?
put an entire book
Yeah, I thought I did.
of what we get out there. That's all right.
Oh, out there.
We're gonna, well, upon also on the internet, but it's gonna be left there, you know, for your viewing pleasure every month when you come in.
You take a copy, I mean, of the
You
check.
take it with you.
Right, there was extra copies of this, but there are not extra copies, I just picked this up, this is your,
We had to wait to get approval for the board, we wanted to talk about it, well, okay,
this is
now.
the book you get.
Yeah.
Okay, but your proposal was that it would be available on the cabinet, so that those of us on the outer wall can fight each other over it, or stay here till what, 2 in the morning to
Or
read it?
come 15 minutes at a time.
Okay. And I'm just wondering, I mean, you know, actually, it's possible to put in a continuing Oprah request and just say, you're making copies for 8 members here. Can you make a 9th for the Salem County Watchdog, okay? And if the New York Times wants to make that request, then you could consider that. If there's another newspaper that wants to do that,
We're putting it right out there, you got one, right? You got one, didn't you?
no.
No, not that.
I'm just borrowing
I'm talking
yours.
about the building, hold on, I'm talking about the checks.
I moved on from that.
Okay, you're talking about this, I'm sorry.
Talking about this book,
The checks you
every
got.
member of the board's got.
So that one, the problem with that one is, because it's never completed until about 15 minutes before the board. 75% of it's complete, but there's a young lady that's around here putting this page in, got a call from the state, change this page.
It's possible that that happens, and I acknowledge that. But you all got it.
Well,
You're sitting here with it. So I'm just saying, if you made one more of whatever you hand out, I don't want binders, just.
All right. Why don't we do this, subject to approval of next meeting? We make extra copies, put them on the desk out here, and tomorrow morning, come in, take them on.
Okay.
The only problem is we're giving you documents that we approve, but they then go to the freeholder director for her approval. So if you get something, you post it, and then she denies a request that we do, now you're posting stuff that's not legal.
Wait a minute, I didn't ask you for this document to post, I asked you this document to be able to examine.
Okay.
All right?
So would you be okay with?
Well, no, I understand it's not a document until it's been approved, okay?
Well, I think what we have to do then, anyone that's out there, we have to stamp draft on it. The same way, by the way, those check registers, I hope they have a draft on them, do they? We should, because, in this case, we approve them. There's occasion, we get that, and we say, hold up on that bill, I'm not sure that's correct, okay? Move to pay all the bills except
I gotta be
that.
honest with you, I think you guys are overthinking this. So if we have a document, we sign resolution A, it's a Oprah document,
Okay.
denied or not. You know, if it's denied, so be it, but it's still a SCIA document that was approved, and it's subject to an Oprah
All right,
request.
let's
I
get,
don't think we need to get into
Yeah.
whether or not it's approved and, the waiting periods and any of that stuff.
Let's get it down.
I'm asking what you did, not whether the freeholder
I
approved
understand
of what you
that.
did.
I'm fully aware of what you're saying. So why don't we get this in, add a page to our, let's put it out tomorrow, and then the next meeting, add a page to our policy, and that'll be good. That'll be the end of that.
Sound good?
Okay.
Fine, in other words, I don't mean to beat this horse anymore,
A full
but
copy
what
will
I'm
be provided.
interested in is one that I can walk out of here with.
Correct,
okay?
that's what they said.
Not first guy to get to the door gets it and takes it.
Well, he can, first thing tomorrow
It'll be
morning,
available tomorrow morning.
first thing tomorrow morning, you'll have a copy available for you.
Okay, and if you could just reserve it for the watchdog, that would be helpful to us.
No
and-
problem,
And believe me, we'll cut down tremendously on Oprah requests.
no problem.
Okay, all right. Anybody else go around again? Got another shot? There you go.
Hello. Name's still Ann Sullivan, and I'm
That hasn't
asking.
changed since.
No, thinking about it though. I was thinking just a quick comment, since Salem County Watchdog is here, we're trying to increase money. Could there be a reservation fee if you're trying to do that?
No, it can't be because that's
Okay.
contrary to the,
But I also went from the watermark, you can put a watermark on there, put draft, I can do that when I've done the worst minutes in the whole
well,
world.
in fact, it's not a draft. I think our attorney pointed out, it's a document that we consider. That might be changed later on, who knows that? I mean,
And at the end stated, so that's right, it's a work in progress. Status on the odor, complaint and fines from, where are we on that? And what's the current, amount being appealed?
if you try to get two in on it, boys.
No, odor complaint has to do, I dressed for the camera, so I'm trying to be pleasant.
The amount that is being appealed, the
Yeah.
answer is $16,000. We have filed a amended corrective action plan and an update, which I'm pleased to say we've had no further other issues since October of last year. And we have not yet heard anything back from the DEP in regards to our request to settle that matter.
So when you request to settle, you're appealing, are you coming back with a number? That's what I'm saying, they're saying, are you, what's that, we're not
Negotiating?
Negotiating.
We're not able to negotiate, we just requested settlement discussion, which they asked for us to provide a written response to them as to why we would want to settle that matter. And therefore, we need to provide a pretty detailed engineering report over the corrective actions that were taken by the authority to ensure that that would not happen.
So have you written that written report?
And it's been submitted.
And that's been submitted, okay, we're just waiting.
Now we're waiting for the DEP.
Thank you very much.
No, let's try to get two in on us, even though two
I
questions
had
will
other
place
stuff
one.
to add. Thank you so much for your consideration as well.
Yes.
I have more questions, there's one
Oh,
more
okay.
person.
Here we go. Yes, sir.
My last question, how much does it cost to bring a TV to the authority?
No charge, absolutely none. You can come Wednesday or Saturday, 8 to 3, and there's no charge for electronics.
That's
No
not our,
township, and no township should be charging either.
State doesn't allow it, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's quite a bargain.
January 1,
Thank you.
2012.
Can we,
was
will we
good,
see
give it to me,
tomorrow?
I'll
Yeah,
use it.
well, Saturday.
Wednesday.
Maybe.
Okay,
It's still
get that,
working
then
right
come
now.
around here again, yes, sir.
Yeah, under nursing home division, your second resolution B, authorizing a transfer of a line item, was an amount, I believe, $6,000 payable to Golden. Is that,
No, it wasn't gold. It was,
It was just that you even up our account for, what was it?
It's paid to Lancaster.
Lancaster Group.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Lancaster Group?
Yeah.
I thought you mentioned Golden in there, all right, well, then the question is, has Golden paid you?
No, that's why we have like to work on the certification as to what they owe us. There's a dispute as to what they owe us.
Okay, so then you were paying Lancaster Group to recalculate the numbers to make sure.
No. We have had the Lancaster Group on for about a year, okay? And the purpose of that is to try to get more from Medicare and Medicaid and the state for payments. There were questions as to what was owed to us, well, various patients, and they were the ones who gave the expert advice on how to collect it. Going back to when the freeholders operated the first time, actually, well, a lot of it was, they operated it too. So, and they were successful in getting a lot of back charges, bills paid to us. And now, as of May 31st of last year, those funds go to, it's called Golden, and we're still trying to get monies prior to that. So basically, it's a three-way negotiation. Getting old monies and getting straight as to what Medicare has paid what's ours, what's, Golden's. Yes, ma'am.
Name's Delaney Sullivan. When I was here and we did the symposium in 2010, Sound Ventures, I thought that price was $17,000 and change. And you just got paid, or something about an early meeting about the CFO from Salem County gave you guys money for $22,000.
Yeah, there was a change.
Okay, very good to know.
The sound
Yes.
system, the food, everything, the
There's
whole.
food, there's sandwiches. Okay.
You were there, you
I was there, it was fabulous. Okay. And that was economic, was that considered economic development for
Yes.
those of us who were here at the time?
Mhm.
That was very worthwhile. I wanted to say, I really learned a lot, and as a result of that, I got a couple of grants, and we're thinking about $28,000 or $30,000. So that was very worthwhile, and I really appreciate
Really?
that. Oh, yeah, and who's the guy I snuck in? But the nice tall guy from Woodstown.
You had pay?
I didn't have to pay, I got
The mayor,
invited. No,
Dietrich?
the tall, our freeholder. Who was our tallish? Mr. Lindeman said, Ian, you should come in and go to this one. It was about government. It was wonderful. It was a really good economic, I thought it was an economic development and everything with alternative energies. It was
It
really
was, yeah.
very worthwhile. So that was amended.
So how much did you get?
28,000 or whatever, and then I kind of segued into other things. But that was,
We charge a small fee on that.
there was no fee at the time. Because, you know, there was no fee. It was a lot of work. That was my testimonial. But my other question is, while I still have the floor for another second, and our friend left, maybe solid waste director may know, the guarantee on that, we've asked that before, I think, the guarantee, or does anyone know how much that plastic is supposed to hold? We who say plastic lasts 20,000 years?
Oh,
Is there a guarantee on that new,
The liner or the rain cart?
well, the rain, whatever we're buying,
The umbrella.
for the raincoat, for $234,000.
Oh.
What, is there, I think he mentioned it was worth so much, it was gonna be so valuable,
they're designed
that's
for
thing.
5 or 6 years,
Oh,
but
okay.
most landfills have them 7, 8, 9 years. Don't forget, in the end, you have to take it away and plant it.
Mhm,
This is a temporary thing,
mhm.
so that so the leachate don't get down, and we have to haul it away to Pennsylvania or hopefully to Salem City.
So it's cost savings, but I'm just saying, it's not, I'm gonna say not guaranteed, but is there a life expectancy? You
5
get from the
years.
manufacturer, you pay more?
5 years, but hopefully
Okay.
it'll be 7, 8, 9 years. Cumberland, for example, has 8 years on theirs. Now, theirs a little ripped up. I don't think they took care of it properly.
Okay.
Ours has a better,
Depends on the care and maintenance.
yeah, and ours has a better
Most of it's a lot of
system of holding it down.
Yeah, okay.
Since then, there's new technology as to hold it
And
down.
it's only going on cell 7, the most highly, the one that gets the most most abuse. Wonderful, thank you so much.
Okay, going around again, anybody else? Anyone? Yes?
I want to back up. I'm like a dog with a bone with this merchant services. I'm looking in here, and right now, the proposal is for 4.6%, 3.5 plus 1.1 for dues and assessments, plus you have a PCI compliant fee every month, plus they charge you $12 every month just to give you a statement for what it's about. So you're looking at greater than 4.6%. They are not giving you a very good deal. Even if you're a first-time merchant, you're gonna end up closer to 5% than anything else. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about this. It's 3.5, I mean, I'm just a lowly merchant like myself paying, plus, it says interchange, network access, and card brand fees will be passed through from your card association to your merchant account. So if it's a higher fee, they're gonna pass that through to you also. Plus you pay 11 cents for, so you have other charges, so 4.6 is your absolute, you're not even gonna get to that. You are higher than 4.6 from the get-go. Plus you have usually a 2-year contract with them, and you have to pay a fee to get out.
This is a month-to-month contract.
Pardon?
This is a month-to-month contract.
They're gonna give you a month-to-month?
Yep.
They're not gonna charge you to get out. Well, 4.6 is still 4.6, that's a big piece of
Well,
change.
if we come up with the, what do you call it, user fee, then that's a whole different story. Oh, okay, yes, sir.
I did have one. I thought when you mentioned this, you were talking about imposing an hourly limitation on an over request, without getting into the legal
Yeah.
question would be, if you gave me a low-level and brand-new employee who you assigned it, they could take 200 hours to do something that a skilled employee could do in an hour, because they're not familiar with the terms. It strikes me that that creates an unfairness.
The inspection, the fee that he was referring to in the policy deals with, whether or not, the executive, if somebody comes in just to do an inspection, if the executive director feels as though, that requires monitoring, and the monitoring takes, a certain period of time, then we would charge for that monitoring.
Okay, that's
But
just
it's not it's not specifically with regard to getting somebody to compile documents, and make copies. That would be under a different potential fee. It's, all these fees are case-by-case basis. You gotta look at it on a case-by-case basis, just depending on what the issue is. But the one in the policy is dealing specifically with, a monitor, and whether or not somebody has to monitor the inspection. Does that answer your question?
So, well, I think so. Yeah, we call them minders, you call them monitors, but.
I'll call them reminders.
Okay. Basically, then we would be able to say, all right, give me 1 hour's worth of documents.
Sure, yeah, and that's why we felt as though it was important to actually set up a policy on that specific issue. Because that way it was clear to the public, if somebody says, let me see 50,000 pages worth of documents and I'm gonna be here for 9.5 hours, we wanted to have a policy in place on that issue if we felt as though it was the kind of documents that needed to have a minder. So that's really what that issue is for.
I thought your solution was better when you just put them in here with the air conditioning going. Nobody can stay more than 2 hours under any, those.
That's why the air conditioner's not working, we're hoping to be in and out of here.
Okay, anybody else in the public have any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Shirley Manahan. One quick question. On that letter that the freeholders sent to you guys saying cease and desist on economic development, did that stem from the interlocal agreement you had expiring at the end of 2011? Or it sounded like there was a new contract that somebody couldn't find, and so why did that letter get sent to you guys?
Good question, that's why we asked. There is no contract I'm aware of.
Okay.
I was never aware of any contract. Now, we couldn't find any in our records, apparently the county couldn't find any records, and I don't recall considering one. So, why would there be a contract? I don't know why there would be a contract.
Because as a separate entity, we are authorized to conduct those types of things.
We're
So
not
that's why
authorized, we're directed.
under the statute, so that's why that's why we just asked for just a simple meeting. You know, if you got better ideas,
Yeah, I mean,
first one to admit it, let's go for it then.
it's very clear that we are directed to do it. When we were established, one, the freeholders specifically directed us to do it, and secondly, that's the purpose of an improvement authority. That's why the statute was established. I haven't read it lately, but I read that statute. I worked in the Senate when the statute was amended twice and participated in that, as a matter of fact. And that was the purpose of the authority. That's why we're here. Any contract, I saw someone alluded to a contract, I don't remember what it was. The only contract I remember was when we took over the defunct, the industrial facility. It was defunct, we took it over, breathed life into it, and it's operating and very successful now. There was a contract then, and the contract was for us to take it over and manage it and market it, and we did that. So, if they're referring to that contract, I don't know, but I asked you never saw a contract, did you?
No, that's why we requested a copy of what they're referring to in their letter. Because we didn't know, we said, let's see what you're looking at so that we can be on the same page.
Can I just ask that 2007, interlocal agreement, I think it's what it's called, but what I'm asking is the document, if this is the same one that merged SCIA, SCUA, and the nursing home all into one
I don't think that was
thing,
it,
is that the
because
one
that
that
wouldn't
we're
have had
talking
an
to that would have
expiration date on
expired?
it.
That could have an expiration date.
That was a transactional document, I don't think it was a ongoing, expires at the end. Actually, I can tell you, it did not have an expiration, it just, it was an agreement of the transaction.
Okay, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? Oh, there you go. One more.
The audit, no, I know you're tired, I took a nap, I'm sorry. On the audit, the number one finding, was the finding that the general ledger wasn't being reconciled on a monthly basis?
No, that need to be reconciled more frequently, and that due to staff changeovers that occurred between the improvement authority in the last 12 months, that there should be more done to support staff that are doing that.
So, I mean, I tried to follow, when you read that, the correction plan, that they're gonna get the right people, but there wasn't gonna be a timely fashion, I used to have to do it like every month, it's not, that
It
wasn't.
does, our corrective action plan is that it can be done monthly.
It was about the monthly thing, thank you very much, and that is my last question.
Thank you, Ann. You have a great evening.
Okay, anybody else in the public? Going once, going twice? Three times, I'll entertain a motion to, oh, wait a minute, hold on, stop. We're going in the closed session.
Yeah, we got.
I understand, so I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion. Motion second, all in favor, aye. Okay, public portion is closed. Now we're entertaining a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion. Second.
There's a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, I'm gonna excuse myself for 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Is it my assumption that I am not to stay for a closed session?